So, Ajey, before we get into the GO-JEK part of it, tell me about your history. I know you come from a very humble background. Life was hard. You work hard. You didn't get all the choices you wanted, but you drove it, and then at some point you connected with Nadeem, and you ended up here.
Yeah.
Tell me about that journey.
Okay. So I started long back. I'm very good. So started long back, around 50 years back, as a graphics designer. I started my career as non-tech, and during some point of time got into tech. I used to create apps for the design agencies, and from there I got interested in tech, how tech works, and then joined a company called ThoughtWorks. I spent around 12 years there. Did a lot of consulting, spent a lot of time in UK, US, multinational clients. And at some point of time decided that, yeah, this is something we want to keep doing. But we wanted to do something different, so I stayed in India. I started my own startup and started helping a bunch of startups. During some point of time, it was like, you always have this craving to do something which makes a difference. And usually that thought process comes only when you are pretty old. Usually it comes when you have seen a bunch of things. One day you realize that not every bit of it what you are doing is worth. You have to find a purpose beyond money, beyond career, beyond name. That point of time, we were helping a bunch of Sequoia startups. I was helping with my friend called CTO. He owns a startup as well, and he was also doing the same thing. And when we came to whether to help Indonesian startups, we ended up working with GO-JEK for the first time. This was after 6 months after they launched their application. They had some issues, exactly the same issues which India had 12 years back. When you start something, we are still learning, right? We have not done this earlier. I have never done what I'm doing right now. I have never done what I'm doing right now every day of the life. It's big. It has become big. It is different. It is touching lots and lots of people. We touch around 3 million lives every day in terms of people get impacted by us, in terms of people who actually depend on us. That is what we looked when we talked to Nadeem, when we worked with them. We were not actually planning to work for GO-JEK for this long. We were not. But first time when I came in, I saw that there is a very different vibe here. This country didn't feel different than India. It's a very welcoming country. People are very nice. You talk to anybody on the street, ask them directions, everybody smiles. I don't know why. But it's good. It's good. People are humble. If you go to India, right? India is a big country. It is geographically divided between north and south, east and west. Language-wise divided across 30 different languages, 600 dialects, 800 sub-languages, right? But only few parts of India people are very nice. Generally, not because they don't want to be nice. It's just because the way daily lives have become so difficult for people. They don't have time to help you. But that was not the case. I'm sorry. That was not the case for Indonesia. And I'm still trying to figure out that one thing, that what made that difference, and I'm not able to get out of that mystery. So when I first saw this, and when Nadeem asked me, why don't you work for us for some more time? And then he said, hey, why don't you work for us for future? So we thought about it. We worked with them. We never formed a people or management team which was so transparent and so down to earth. We have never formed. I have worked with so many co-founders. I have worked with so many entrepreneurs. The second generation of entrepreneurs, I have found some people who have sitting on the funding and all this stuff. They have the most really. I didn't find that over here. So we thought that, okay, we can make it work. And I was running my own company, doing good. It meant that I gave up all that stuff. I gave up my own company, my own entrepreneurship, and start working for somebody. But it was not like that, because I never believed that people should work for somebody. We should always work with people. And that's what we are building a culture at GO-JEK as well. So, and there was a chance, there was that craving that if this goes good, it is a very noble concept, it is a very new concept. I don't know how many of you know that GO-JEK is running for last 8 years now. It just became online in 2015, but it was started just 2011, right? Way before that anybody else could think of this kind of thing. So, and then we saw, I remember the second day of my Indonesian journey, I saw protest outside, and then I saw the people, and that kind of inspired.
Those elections?
No, the drivers were protesting against price raise, and that kind of made an impact, saying, okay, I think I should work with it. This thing really.
Was that the time where you went from I'm not sure to yes, I'm coming?
Yeah.
Okay.
The people and then the impact, both were very visible right in front of you. And how do we make sure that this kind of things don't happen there?
What was that protest?
It always happens with us. We raise the price, or we decrease the price. If we decrease the price per kilometer for drivers, there is an unhappy, right? And it's not very easy for them to us to explain to them. And we are in fierce competition with other companies as well. Sometimes we have to match the price. And how do we match the prices? By either decreasing the price or cutting some bonus points. Happening all over the world for ride-sharing companies, right?
Right.
When they want to capture the market, they increase the price. When they want to do something, they decrease the price. If we have
So what about the protest made you go, okay, I need to come here and help GO-JEK?
Because if you can actually live through the pricing wars by technology. You can do many things to make things efficient. One of the things which I believe is that we can actually do our job every day, but if we think what can we do better, we can do much better, right? So one of the things which I saw is the impact on the people's life. The drivers which were kind of earning around $100 a month, now they're earning around $500 a month, which is a big impact. And if we can increase that impact to people, so we had around 10,000 drivers at that point of time, and now we have around 600,000, 300,000 drivers. So now that impact is gone, really up. And what we do is, if you look at that impact across all our products, we have 22 products now, and launching those new products, serving people, making people's life easy. I used to say that GO-JEK buys you time, but actually GO-JEK facilitates you to do things. For example, if you actually take a go-car or GO-JEK in the morning 7 o'clock from say Kemang area to say airport, which I do all the time, you'll see so many maids, school children, servants taking GO-JEK to reach their destination. And if we are not there, then what will happen? So we live with that guilt to make sure this thing keeps going on. And that is one of the best things which keeps me driving. So when we do have downtime, so there's no denial of that. We used to, if you guys, a lot of you guys are here and you have been here since 2015, you might have seen GO-JEK improve many folds now. And that's what keeps us going. Like, people can't reach their home, school, children can't go to school. It's like just that, you can't get food. A lot of people cannot get, there's one video on GO-JEK on YouTube you guys should see. We actually did a story on a driver who actually was fasting during Ramadan, but actually providing food to orphanage for taking their fast. And that video is just moving, this video moves me, that video is just very moving video. Like, how many things are possible we can't even imagine. So that is the real impact on people's life.
So, to me, it used to be a lot easier to describe GO-JEK, right? It's a ride-hailing app, right? It's way more than that now. From a CTO's perspective, or maybe from an executive's perspective of the company, how would you describe GO-JEK, today and maybe 2 years from now, 5 years from now? What kind of company is GO-JEK?
Okay, so GO-JEK is a combination of a bunch of things. One thing which we did, we did not. So I'll do a funny story. I was in SF like 4 weeks back, giving a keynote on started at a conference, and somebody saw this logo and they asked me, "Do you guys sell wireless on motorcycles?" That is the weirdest interpretation I have seen for our logo. Right? And then we said, no, we do something with motorcycles being online. That is not wireless. And they couldn't understand what I did, and then we did a presentation that you understand. So what we do is, GO-JEK started as a facilitating things from community service, and now we are getting into solving your workday problem. So whatever you face during a workday, we bring you that, and that's all about it. We want you to get food, get massage, buy tickets, send things from here to there, get medicines, get your house clean, whatever you have. A lot of services actually originate solving weekend problems. Our mission is to solve the workday problem, because once you solve the workday problem, then you are solving the problem of people of daily life, not the people who sit at home on weekend, have smartphone and try to get something. But we are trying to solve the problem of everybody who is moving, and how do you make their move, how do you make their workday much easier. That's what GO-JEK is all about. It's about more around commuting, but way more around supporting businesses who can get impacted by workday. And those businesses are way more impactful than only weekend businesses.
To that extent, what do you say is one or two of the more interesting projects you've had in your last few years at GO-JEK, from a technical point of view and maybe from an impact point of view?
So when I came in, I took over as CTO in around March 2016. I worked 9 months, one of the first things which happened with us was go-kart. We were not sure that our competitors will actually go crazy on bikes, and they launched bikes, and we had to do something about it, right? And we actually pulled go-kart off in 6 weeks straight. And actually go-kart got launched 1 day before than it was supposed to get launched, because one of our developers was loading the drill to Play Store, and instead of putting a draft, he said publish. So our APK on Android got published, and suddenly we see a demand on our service, and we don't have anybody. There is nobody around, and we had only 1,000 beta car drivers, and we were going crazy behind the scenes, saying, okay, what will go wrong now? We don't know, because we have not tested it. We are supposed to test that night, and then maybe if things go fine, then we'll launch next day. And some of the beta users have seen go-kart, but it just went public, and it went crazy. So think about it now, everybody wants to get into car. We don't have cars, and they are trying and trying and trying. So to give you some of you our scale, it will kind of pepper see that how we are managing that, but yeah. So we have at any point of time around 2.5 million customers online at any point of time. In tech terms, we do around 110 million API calls per second. To give you one more scale, that just simple back of the hand calculation is this. So our drivers send us ping every 10 seconds. In a minute, you have 800,000 drivers on an average online. In a minute, you get 4.8 million things. You have 1440 minutes in a day. So you get 6.4 billion pings in a day. And once you have 6.4 billion pings, you have to store them, make sure things are good. But not only that, you shouldn't lose any one of them. Given that kind of scale, that was the craziest day for us, that we have to make sure our motorcycle does not go down. And still we are able to show a pleasant message to our customers. That was the first one. Second one was the GoPay. When GoPay became very evident, we started the GO-JEK project, and then we said, okay, let's launch a closed loop wallet. We did not have people, and we kind of launched GoPay with 8 people. So if you whatever you see in GoPay, the maximum engineering team is 20 people. That's all. We are the smallest engineering team in the world for kind of company we are. We are only 200 people, and we run 22 products. It's like less than 10 people per product. And that point of time, we had 8 people, and we had 6 months to take the GoPay online without disrupting anybody. So we finally launched GoPay last year, January 1st, and it was pretty nice moment. It's hard, but pretty nice. So those are the two difficult things.
Are these the biggest things in terms of number of users you've done in your life?
No, GoCard is certainly smaller than GoRide.
Yeah.
So it's not the biggest, but for any good size company, it's pretty big. Like we do around more than 2 million orders per day. So if you look at that, 60% of that are GoPay as well. So yeah, it's pretty big, pretty big.
Tell me a little bit about the cultural kind of learnings you've had coming into Jakarta, full-time, living here for the last 2 years, 3 years?
Almost 3 years, yeah. Yeah. So as I said, I felt Jakarta home, and I still feel it home. So first thing is, when you feel somewhere as a home, that is very different than actually living as an expat. So that was the first cultural thing, which kind of, you are at home, things are nice. Second is the culture of IT industry over here is very different than if you look at the Western countries or new age startups. That was kind of a little missing. So we had to get that. I faced that problem, exactly same problem, 15 years back in India. So we kind of knew how to solve that, but it is a little bit difficult. Like having a flat hierarchy is kind of very difficult to have. Having a meritocracy based intellectual hierarchy in the organization is super difficult to have. But I think from that point of view, we are one of the best, I can say one of the best culture fit system in Indonesia. We do not hire engineering managers. We don't have engineering managers. We hire people who are doers, including me. We expect everybody to work, everybody to walk the talk, everybody to be online, be hands-on. So that culture, building that culture is super difficult. We find the same problem in India as well, because building the same office in India, nobody knows GO-JEK well. So doing something in India is super difficult. Now, the thing is, when you look at the culture, the people, the more experienced people, forget to learn. Sometimes people say, you have to come and you have to unlearn something and learn something. You don't do that. That doesn't happen with humans. I don't know where that happens. That can happen with computer. It doesn't happen. Humans cannot unlearn anything. Right? If you're riding a bike and you want to ride a car, you won't unlearn riding a bike. You just learn to ride a car. But when you forget to learn, then adopting new things is very difficult. And for that, we do 2 things. One, we actually invest a lot of time people interviewing and talking to them. Like I talk to and I meet and talk to every person who applies at GO-JEK at some point of time. Second, we started taking students from universities and bring them into GO-JEK and train them for like 2 months, and then we bring them back again to the main system. And that kind of helped us spread our world, what we do, and kind of trying to break that myth that it's super difficult to get into GO-JEK and all that stuff, because it's not. What we look for, because I personally don't hold any computer science or any good degree. So I personally believe it's meritocracy is what gets you where you are. And if that is the case, then anybody who is curious and ready to learn should be able to do things. So as long as people are open, then building culture is good. Jakarta or Indonesia is especially much, much easier than say US or UK. People have opinions. Having opinions is good, but as long as you can hear somebody out, that thing is very evident. People are ready to hear you out, people are ready to talk to you, people are ready to accept what you are saying, or at least put a step forward to experiment with what you are telling. So yeah, it has been pretty pleasant to hear.
Monsil has been involved with other companies on scholarships for computer science kids, and we find that there are exceptional kids out here, but they don't necessarily get opportunities to really express their capability.
Mm-hmm.
Right? How do you see with all these tech companies? GO-JEK is not the only one. There's lots of them coming out. How do you see tech and computer science kids and that whole ecosystem of sort of Silicon Valley kind of tech-y kind of culture? How do you see that developing here in specifically Jakarta, but also places like Bandung and elsewhere?
Yeah, so one of the things which we started doing almost 2 years back is started hosting the meetups. So we host a lot of meetups. We do AI Saturdays, every Saturday. And last year we actually hosted the first open source conference in Indonesia, Bandung. So these ecosystems evolve when you have supporting systems in place. A lot of tech conferences in Indonesia are actually invite-only or they're highly priced. So the only way you can get something in a garden is by putting something in. Right? So one of the things is we believe that you have to give back to the community. So first you have to put a lot of open source. So we do a lot of open source. Our engineering puts a lot of open source out there, ask people to contribute. Second, we are trying to get a lot of events. So we are supporting a lot of events like wholeheartedly. As long as they are community events, we will support every event and give up our space in our office to come and use our office. So we actually provide our office for free of cost for many, many things. I think hopefully in the next 1 or 2 years, once this engine starts going, we just did a Scrum days in Bandung like yesterday, and we were there and presenting over there as well. So as long as this engine starts going, once it starts running on its own, then people will start knowing about technology. But one of the important things in tech is exposure, and we are trying to put that exposure over here for people. And if people are ready to come and get exposed to the exposure of tech, what new tech is, then things will be much better and creating more noise.
Just everyone, we're gonna, in about 3 minutes, we're gonna start asking you to ask questions. So think about questions you'd like to ask Ajey about himself, about GO-JEK, about the future. One of the I'm going to go a little bit into the future. Right? One of the interesting topics that I hear my friends talk about in the US is, okay, Uber gives you a bunch of jobs driving cars, but when those self-driving cars start coming, people will lose their jobs, right? And there's this automation that's coming slowly but surely. What's your view on this? Maybe your personal view, and then on automation removing jobs, right?
I believe that you should be dispensable.
We should be dispensable.
Anyone should be ready to be dispensable. I believe that. That applies to everybody. The jobs which existed like 10, 15 years back, they don't exist now.
Yes.
But if you have adopted through the progress, then you land up in new jobs. Right? Same thing is true with.
And if you try to cling on to what
then you get destroyed like.
Yes.
Okay, how many of you know what did Samsung do as first thing? What is the Samsung's first business?
Fans?
No.
Military? Chips?
No.
Chips?
No.
Way back.
Way back when Samsung started. What was their first business?
Ships.
No. They sold dry fish and
Try to finish.
And what is the Toyota's first business? Yeah. What is Toyota's first business?
Rice cooker?
No, they did loops. Loops, the fabric loops. You can create. Yeah. So they did.
That must be a while ago.
Yeah, very well. So, but they adopted shoes, and they did not miss. And today they are there, right?
Yeah.
That's what it is true over here as well. I won't deny that tech. So till now, tech and automation has improved our life. For example, if you would have been on the same old GO-JEK model, while earlier when we came in, drivers didn't believe us that their income will go up. They thought their income, they will constantly working and income will go down, but that has changed. Their income did go up. Their income actually went up to like 200%. But if we, and that's where we diversify, we try to find more avenues to do things, right? If we adopt with the change, then we will be doing something different down the line, maybe 3 years. Maybe we will be doing a lot of stuff around. So we acquired a bunch of companies recently and started working with them. One of them is Ruma, the Mama company. And they are impacting a lot of people in rural areas, right? And now if we can, we can bring them to the main ecosystem, and they can get access to e-commerce online. They can get access to services online. If they can pay their utility bills easily, it's much better, right? Think about it, you are working in Jakarta and you want to send money to somebody really far off, and you can do a P2P to them using GoPay, and they can withdraw the money over there. It's good. It's a low cost and good. So the point is, we will change 100%. Autonomous vehicles will come 100%. Automatic clearing houses will come. This will happen. The only key for us to stay relevant is to be part of that.
And ensure encouraging all people involved with your ecosystem.
Yes, and be very open. Never have this view that we are the one, nobody can touch us. Actually, we are the most vulnerable ones. There's no reason for somebody to come and pour money over here and create a competition process. There's no reason. So it's just for us, what makes us better, or what will make us better, is a constant product innovation and constant thought and accept that we are vulnerable. And that's what keeps me away.
Very good. I'm going to take a pause and see if there's anyone who wants to ask questions of you. There's one, two.
I'm going to drink water. So
One, okay.
So we are very lucky actually. Indonesia is one of the things which happens with a lot of developing countries. We do technology leap. If you go to US today, they have towers from age 1, 1G, 2G, 3G, 4G, 5G. Right? What we got over here is straight 4G. We are already expanding. We continuously add cities every month. The thing is, we do not want to, as I said, do not want to go and disappoint people. Setting up a new city is a big task, right? So we try to do that, but it takes a plan. So, and we are very small in terms of people. So it's been only 24 months since we started. We are already 55 cities. We are already operating around 22 services across those 55 cities. And we'll cover more cities in future. We will do that. So certainly go there. There is a gap and there's a huge market. Jakarta alone is huge. And I believe that we are not doing justice to Jakarta itself right now. So let's not be very greedy and like thin yourselves too, spread yourselves too thin. Let's not do that. But instead of do one thing and do it right. So then you can ask me then why did you do 22 products? You should have only guide and transport. But actually we did there also we did one thing. We actually created an ecosystem. We created a platform. And now we're talking to other merchants to bring up on that platform. So yeah.
Just go down.
Hi, my name is Ali. I'm asking more of as your role as a CTO. So how do you manage, or rather what's your advice for prioritization of project requests from other departments?
Okay. I always say I have a very good answer for that. There are two things. The things you can live with and things you cannot live with. Right? The problems you can live with and problems you cannot live with. Always solve the problems you can live with. problems you can live with.
Solve the problems you can live with.
Because the problems you cannot live with will always interfere anyway. And you're a drop and go solve those anyway, right? So if you try to solve the problems you cannot live with, then you are not able to solve the problems you can live with. That means you are not able to solve 80% of the edge cases which users are going to experience. So look at very clearly what your users want. Don't get distracted by edge cases. Make sure that you actually have, a lot of times it's a wish of one person that I want this feature to get delivered. Ask 10 people, do you really want this? Like for example, we don't have a feature called edit booking. Right? You cannot edit a booking, edit a destination. Instead what we tell our users, cancel and edit it. We get less than 1% request from that. And that is complex feature because GO-JEK is prepaid service. That means once you edit booking, I have to recalculate price, and again, when you started your journey, and now you are in the middle of traffic, and now there is surge pricing, I'll give you better price or bigger price, then you will get unhappy. There are a lot of complexities around that. So point is that when you're prioritizing, solve the problems you can live with, because they are easy to understand, you know the scope, you know how long it's going to take to solve it, and then move on to the next one.
Thank you.
Sounds like Steve Covey. Work on the things that are not urgent but very important.
Yes.
There's one over there.
Hi Ajey, my name is Victor from Dream Action. Dream Action, I believe in people, so I would like to bring you back in time a little bit. So I'm getting interested with you about the earn people, the one that you believe in people. Actually, I have 3 questions. The first one is about how you survive your first startup. I believe it's called the Code Ignition, isn't it? And how you survive when you have to sell your houses and all and so on. The second one is, I believe you also put your wife in it, right, as the COO. So how you manage those things. And the third one, how it impact GO-JEK finally with the Code Ignition. That's all. Thank you.
Okay. First 2 are easy, third one is very difficult. Yeah. I have always believed that if whatever you do in this life, I was talking to somebody recently, I talked to Naman like few minutes back, and I was telling him that 95% of things you do at my age are not in your control, because whatever you have done in the past kind of forces you to do what you do right now. So you should have this view of, and I'll clarify this, give you an example. Where you are like, what is me? I'll give you examples. Sunday morning I have to get up and go and get a milk and eggs for my kids, right? If I'm not married and not have 2 kids, I don't have to do that. But since I married 20 years to 15 years back, then today, this Sunday, I have to go and do that, right? So whatever you did in the past impacts you today, always, right? And it's not only personal life, everywhere. So if you keep doing right thing through your things, which I learned very late, by the way, I did not learn in my early years. I learned that around 27, 28. But it was good when I started my startup. It was like I was 35, had a wife, 2 kids, and I met my wife at my work, so it was easy for her to understand what I do. So that was the thing made me survive my startup, because I kind of went back to my friends, being very candid, asked them for work, asked them for help, and I got a lot of help, a lot of help. I was very lucky for that, but I'm really thankful for my friends who have done help with me. So that is one thing which I will just tell you. Second thing, my wife, as CEO of my company, she comes from very different background. She comes from a community who is very good at business in India, and she has this acumen for money. So she kept us honest. She kept us asking plans, and once you have your wife as your CEO or CFO, things go a little bit different. Because you are CEO, right? You're running a company with 15 people. You're like you're an old guy, and then your employees are like 25, 26 years. They won't ask you questions because like, just an old guy, right? But your wife will not spare you. She'll ask in front of them, saying, "Hey, what's your projections for this month? Where are your clients? Where is the money?" And that kept us going very honest. And that were very tough times, but she kept us honest. And then why did she not join GO-JEK? You might ask that as well. When we came to GO-JEK, I clearly knew that I have traveled a lot. And we always believe that, again, the same thing, what you do right now will come out in future. So whatever we do right now with our kids will come back to us in future in 10 years. That future is not very far. My kids are only 12 and 5. They'll be 18 and 13 soon, right? So we decided to make sure that one of us does it, and at that point of time she decided to drop out and focus back on home. So that was the second. Third, how did it impact GO-JEK? The learnings impacted GO-JEK in a very positive way. Not GO-JEK as a company, but GO-JEK as a culture. Because what we learned from there in a hard way, we could implement it over here in a nicely way. Understanding people, being unassuming, by default assuming the right intention. If you by default assume the right intention, a lot of things actually get sorted. And one more thing which is very important, I can tell you this from my personal experience, 75% things or 80% things you bother about, they are not going on worth bothering. If you keep that in your head, you will be very happy. Yeah.
Actually, before I let them ask some more questions, this last answer was a very thoughtful one, and it occurs to me you're someone who thinks a lot about almost everything. And one of the questions I love to ask, especially entrepreneurs, is sort of a very basic one. Each of us have about 100 years on the planet. What are you going to do with yours? You've done some of it already, right? What do you hope to, before you leave, you go, wow, I did the right things?
Okay, if you ask that way, so I hope two things, that I should never stop working. First thing, I really wish that. Then second thing is, you have this question, right? If you go to, when somebody goes away, you go to crematorium or wherever you want to go, and you ponder on things. I've been to many of those occasions, and a lot of times I actually think about this. So you think like, what should I be remembered for? That is the question you ask. I change that question.
Actually, not necessarily remembered, but what do you?
What will make you happy to go, right?
Yeah.
And the question I put this way is saying, why you should be remembered for? Once you answer that why, then your what comes out. And my why is mostly, I believe mostly in like next 8 years, I'll invest a lot in educating people. I will try to create, I want to create a better education system I want to create a very small but better education system, which actually gives people the readiness to the jobs, readiness to the entrepreneurship, readiness to the world. Our education system in third world countries, or our developing countries, what we call, is mostly driven by a colonial thought process. Unfortunately, India is like that. And they don't make you ready for jobs. They actually make you ready to obey. And there's a difference between the two. And I want to make that change. I want to bring something like that.
We should talk after this. Okay, next question.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Meka. We will attend off an ERP for schools. I want to ask you about a little bit of technical stuff. With the latest updates on technology and tools to develop software or something like that, how do you prioritize the changes in technologies and tools with your existing technologies? How do you keep up with the new coming technologies and your existing technology using?
Oh yeah, it's a very long answer. I'll try to give you a short answer. The way it is, suppose you are living in a house. It's a one-bedroom house, single ground floor, all that stuff. And now you want to make it a two-story house. What would you do while you are living in that? While you are living in that, you are not getting out, you are living in that. What would you do? You will put some scaffolding and then put something on top, And at one point of time, you can get to this till like 8th floor, 9th floor. But what happens when you go to 20th floor? What will you do? You at that point of time, you're still living in the house. So either you move upper floors and remove the lower floors, you do something, right? So one of the things that you do, you always go through something called a strangulation pattern. You should read about that. It's a strangulation pattern where a vine or tree goes on another tree, and basically it strangulates the existing tree and becomes the new tree. That happens a lot of time in biology. That's how the software usually works. So you create a scaffold, put the new things on top of it, put some facade in front, destroy everything behind, and the new building comes up. So basically you have to do that. At GO-JEK, how many times we have done it? We have done it 4 times by now. GO-JEK app has been redone 3 times by now in the last 24 months. So we do that all the time, and you have to keep doing it all the time.
As a CTO, I want to know, how do you see Indonesian programmers compared to India programmers? Based on their capabilities and maybe their work ethics. Thank you.
Okay. This is a very nice question, actually. There is no difference. The difference is in exposure. Difference is not in the person. Difference is in what they have seen till now. If you go to India, you can go to India and find really bad and really good programmers. If we would have had find good programmers in India, then every one of countries in the world would have gone to India, had million. We are a 1 billion country, right? Out of those, like 640 are youth. Out of those, like 200 million are computer programmers. But we have only like 2 million working. So every country could get 1 million programmers out of India, right? There are 170 countries. But that is not happening. So it's more on the exposure. The people who get more exposure, the more experience, and if they are in the right place, right skill set, then things go better. This is what's said about India 15 years back, and this is what's being said about Indonesia now, but that's not right. It's more about how do we provide that ecosystem, and that's what we're trying to do. So we have a lot of people over here in India. We have 100 people in Indonesia, Jakarta, working with us over here, and they're good programming as well. The people who wrote first GO-JEK, we are all Indonesians. Right? They wrote right thing. If they didn't write that, we wouldn't be here. So that is not the question. Is not about comparing the people. It's more around comparing the exposure. And as long as we can now give more exposure, it will be same in all countries.
Hi, Ajey. My name is Victor from early fintech startup. Is there any technology that impact you the most to serve that kind of amount of traffic at the first beginning of you build the system? And also the second one is I heard you guys managed to deliver products rapidly at the first time, like 1 month per. You deliver 1 product per month or so. How do you manage the team or to deliver that rapid product delivery?
So one of the biggest questions you face in startups is what not to do. Nobody thinks about it. People think what all things we should do. What features should be there in the product. People always think about that. If you do this ruthless prioritization, that's what I call it, you start thinking about what we should not do. Then creating a product becomes very, very easy. Right? That's what we did. We chose the right kind of things. We removed the options. We removed, like we said, we'll not do flexible pulsar tariff. We'll do fixed pulsar tariff. We'll allow you to do only 10,000, 25,000, 50,000. That's how we allow. Yeah, it's okay. You have 22,000, do 10,000 twice. It doesn't harm. But so that is one thing which we did. Tech certainly helps you, but right tech is the question. So what I do is, I have a lot of friends outside. I'm part of a lot of mailing lists. I openly ask questions. I never try to hide our tech. We have a lot of things on open source. The one thing is, you have to be open-minded. You have to accept that you don't know. And I totally believe that if if you ask me how many percent CTO you are, maybe I'm like 0.5% CTO. I'm just there. And there will be somebody who can replace me right now, and I'm okay with that. Point is, as long as you understand that you are dispensable, as long as you understand you don't know stuff, then things will go really right for you. So yeah, that's what we did.
We'll have 2 more questions, and then we have to say goodbye. What's your name?
Hello. Hi, Ajay.
Hi.
Thanks for the talk. Robin here from Caroline. Well, I have a questions in regards to hiring. Well, when you first, when the company is still small, what's your strategy, or do you mind sharing about how you hire the right people, especially for those key positions, like those more senior, more knowledgeable, being able to lead a team? And yeah, maybe you can share whether you go approach some recruiters. I'm pretty sure there are a lot of recruiters who come to you, and then as well as whether, or you go to LinkedIn and then send cold emails, or is it through your connections there?
Recruiters never give you right candidates.
Sorry?
Recruiters never give you right candidates. They do sometimes if you want to know a bunch of things, right? So there are 2 things. Suppose you got a toothache. Where would you go? Which doctor would you go? Would you go to OK doctor, or would you go to the best doctor in your locality? You would go to the best doctor in your locality, right? So if you go to recruiter, they'll give you OK candidates or the best candidates, both. Filtering those out is pain. Now, what is OK candidate and what is the best candidate? So we do not, as I said earlier, we do not look for specific buzzwords and all this stuff. What we bring them in, we only look for 2 things. If you are hiring somebody, right? So you should have sound logic. And logic doesn't need any programming language. It does not. You put your logic on the flowchart or condition, you can solve the logic problem. Second, you should be just curious and humble. And we put that through a lot of questions, through a bunch of interviews. We get senior guys get interviewed by their freshers, and then we see their reactions, how are they reacting, right? And those reactions give us the thing. And the third thing which we have within our interview group, anybody can interview, but if anyone says no, then we don't have the person. And to say no, we ask one question: would you sit next to this person and work for next 1 year? If that answer is no, then we are not going to have the person, right? So mostly we kind of hire on a very personal basis, where you actually treat person as a person. Actually, I forbid in GO-JEK people calling resources. I remind them it's people, it's not resources. It's never resources, always people. So we say chief people officers. We don't say human resource officer. We say people who will take care of people. So we always remind that. So these things are first thing. Second thing is your network connections. Your connections are always useful, and you should always source them. 70% of GO-JEK is actually referrals, because that is those are trusted things. First, referrals hiring gives you 2 information. First, the person who is referring somebody else, that means he's comfortable with GO-JEK. So you are not gone to Kaput right now. You are not gone to Docs. He's comfortable working with GO-JEK. Second, he's bringing his friend. That means he wants his friend to have fun as well. So this affirms your status as a company culture. It also affirms your status as a person who is referring to somebody, he knows them very well. So it's trusted partner in bringing them in. So those 2 things. With our recruiters statistics, we hire 1 out of 300. So yeah, it's tough.
Okay, one last short question. If not, we'll just wrap it up. Good. Okay, we'll wrap it up. Did someone put up their hand? Okay, so, I hope you guys realize you're talking to a very deep thinker here. It's a privilege just listening to how you think about what you do. As you do more startups, I think the audience, as you do more startups, you start to realize how important that thinking is, that reflection, that alignment of your values and your operations is to building great companies. And I can see why you guys are where you are today. Thank you, everyone. Thank you.